I'm Meghan McDonald, Senior Marketing Manager at AppLovin, and I'm excited to welcome you to our second Coffee and Creative webinar, Metaplay and Gamification in Mobile Ads. Our discussion today will focus on the trends in mobile ads that drive the most engagement and the most revenue. And speaking of, have you ever seen a mobile ad that drives you crazy? I can definitely say that I have, and I'm sure our SparkLabs team has seen plenty of them too. So without further ado, let's meet them and join them for a reading of mean messages about some of these mobile ads that drove users crazy. Jess, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica, the creative director of the SparkLabs team. And one mean comment I find entertaining is, dear mobile game ad creators, watching people repeatedly lose in stupid ways doesn't make us want to download your game. Sincerely, everyone. What about you, Jaden?
Hey everyone, I'm Jaden, Senior Business Analyst on the SparkLabs team. This is the mean comment I found. I saw one of those ads like, are you mad that every time you try to play the pull the pin game, it turns out it isn't that game? Well, that's our game. And then when you click the ad and all, the game also isn't that game.
Hello, I'm Justin, Art Director on SparkLabs. My favorite is just want to play that game where you need to survive the zombie horde without having to play the dumb city builder game attached to it.
Those are ridiculous and hilarious. I guess you can't make everybody happy, but there's a rhyme and a reason to everything that we do, right, Jaden? It's what would you say in response to some of these community messages about these types of mobile ads that happen to be driving them crazy?
Absolutely. These mean comments point to an observation of ours that we've been seeing in the past couple of years. And it's ad creative strategies and concepts for games for different genres and different monetization strategies have all kind of been gravitating towards what we're used to seeing from casual game ads. So all the genres are kind of coming together. They've been converging in the form of hybrid creative strategies and also crossovers of concepts. We also called this genre bending in our 2024 Creative Trends Report. And we've noticed that game advertisers have just been borrowing ad creative ideas across from different each other's genres. And let's look at some examples to really understand what they mean.
So let's take a look at some examples from Tile Garden. Now, an example of a genre-bending instance is taking a hyper-casual title and turning it into a hybrid casual game. What we mean by that is, let's say a hyper-casual game adds a casual mechanic like match or renovation in an effort to add narrative, broaden the gameplay, and give the overall creative a little more polish. Adding extensive narratives to an ad is more commonly seen in casual match 3, farming, and merge titles, even if no such narrative exists in the actual gameplay.
We're also seeing mid-core and strategy games adopt casual and hyper-casual gameplay in their ad creatives, including concepts like runner ads, where you see a linear pathway and users must move side to side to avoid obstacles or run through gates. Pull the pin ads, as one of the mean comments referenced, where you have to move pins in the correct order to solve a puzzle, and tycoon-style ads, which focus on collecting resources and upgrading. And this isn't a new trend, and for the past couple of years, we've actually seen this genre adopting the simple and intuitive mechanics of hyper-casual games, blending the high-quality game part with lighter gameplay mechanics. In this example for Final Fantasy War for Eos, you can see the game itself is a mid-core action and adventure strategy game, which is pretty heavy on the UI and focused on collecting resources and building base. And in the ad creative that we made, we simplified the UI quite a bit and implemented this stacking coin collection mechanic to upgrade resources. Despite these simplifications, the ad was effective and visually consistent with the game, as these mechanics, resource collection, and base upgrading are present in the gameplay.
Interestingly, when other genres have been advertising more like casual games, casual games themselves have been sitting in the perfect storm. They already have a good balance of intuitive mechanics and depth of content. So they've been honing in on their creative success and trying to break boundaries. Taking Project Makeover as an example, it is a match 3 puzzle game with rich makeover gameplay and character storylines. They have continued to iterate on their successful narrative makeover ads, balancing a variety of gameplay content and also a high quality of design. Meanwhile, we see casual games also exploring new formats for their successful creative concepts, like live action adaptations of their animated ads. Again, looking at an example from Project Makeover, we see Project Makeover taking their successful narrative ads with the Mud Girl and creating a live action adaptation of the animated versions. Or a higher production value example is how Merge Mansion created live action ads with their Mysterious Grandma series of animated ads. They even featured Pedro Pascal in their live action versions.
Okay, so I have to be honest. I know this came up in our prep for this webinar. I have no idea who Pedro Pascal is.
Do you own a television?
No idea. Am I missing something?
Are you serious?
No.
He's the Mandalorian. This is the way.
Star Wars. I have no idea. That is Star Wars, right?
Star Wars universe.
Okay. News to me.
You have homework to do.
Okay, getting back to this. Advertisers of casual games haven't only been iterating on their success, but they've also been breaking boundaries with new things and revisiting some of their older wins. Again, looking at Project Makeover, they reached new highs on their CTV install rates with this distracted killer narrative, which is something that's very different from all the other CTV ads we're used to seeing, and definitely very different from what Project Makeover is used to doing, whether live action or animated.
What is it?
Hiya.
What do you want?
To match and merge your face to the floor. 1 sec. I'm gonna feast on this. Time to gloat. I just passed level 5,000 in Project Makeover. I love this. So much fun.
It's my turn.
Master Project Makeover, then you'll gloat too.
But also, we see them revisiting their main mechanic of match 3 in their ad creatives and adding them back, which they haven't really done much of in the past couple years.
Now, this genre bending or convergence to casual gameplay is also seen in non-gaming ads. Over a quarter of non-gaming ad wins from SparkLabs came from adding casual gameplay features to ad creatives when no such mechanics exist in the actual app. Take, for example, the Shein creative that's featured in our trends report. As a classic e-commerce retailer, there's no gaming element to Shein, but as you can see in the example, we've gamified the retail experience into an outfit builder.
And with this convergence and genre bending, inevitably some ads will appear more fake compared to the main content that they advertise. These observations led us to do more analyses and tests of metaplay and gamification. But before we dive deeper, let's make it clear what we mean by defining these terms. So in the context of gaming ad creatives, metaplay refers to gameplay mechanics beyond the main gameplay, such as mini versions of complex games designed to attract more casual players. Ads that focus on these mechanics are the ones that typically get called out as fake ads. Sometimes the metaplay is technically in the actual game, often built into the game after finding success with these ad creatives. But in many cases, it's a very short interaction that only appears after completing a certain number of levels. So even if it's technically not fake gameplay, users could still feel misled by the ads.
So a lot of our conversation up until this point has been in the context within games. How does something like Metaplay translate over to, say, a non-gaming app?
Yeah, so similar to the example that Justin shared for Shein, this is what we refer to as gamification. And gamification in advertisements for non-gaming involves incorporating game-like elements such as rewards, challenges, and puzzles to engage users and motivate them to interact with the app. This ad strategy aims to enhance user experience and drive higher levels of participation and retention. So here's another example ad that we made for the app Kikoff, which is a finance app that's key selling point is to help you build credit. We created a side-scroller playable ad with a character collecting coins to build credit and dodging obstacles like late payments. Although there's no gaming mechanic like this at all in Kikoff's app, this still serves as a fun and engaging way to get users to interact while communicating the app's key selling point, which is to help users grow their credit.
Yeah, we think there are a few layers to the rationale here for Metaplay and gamification both seeing success. On the surface layer, Metaplay adds to what your main gameplay creatives have been lacking. For complex games with a lot of depth, Metaplay introduces more intuitive mechanics and makes it a lot easier for the casual gamer to understand the appeal of the game. For hyper-casual games that are lacking variety, Metaplay opens up more possibilities to branch out the content in your ads and get away from making the same ads that everyone else is making on the market. On the non-gaming side, I think there are several reasons why gamification has been working. First of all, mobile games still account for over half of all app revenue on the market, meaning that a majority of the in-app ad inventory are still from games. When an ad for your app is being shown to someone playing a game, it's a very reasonable assumption that this person could be interested in another gaming experience provided by your gamified playable. On AppLovin specifically, we have a large inventory in gaming. So as an advertiser, checking the sources of your campaigns would give you a good idea of whether your ads are being shown in a game, and if so, in what types of games.
Going a layer deeper, we also thought about it on a psychological and motivational level. Metaplay in general taps into the basic human motivations of mastery, achievement, creativity, and social engagement. Through these more interactive experiences, we've seen more engagement from users than we would from videos or static end cards. Metaplay leverages neurological mechanisms to encourage further engagement. Engaging with a brand triggers the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, creating a pleasurable association, and motivating the individual to continue interacting with the brand. Now, Bettermind, which is a meditation and wellness app with no gaming elements, taps into the rewards and satisfaction system in this creative example by having the user repeatedly tap the button to relieve the character of their anxiety. Even for static end cards, 70% of non-gaming creatives on AppLovin stood out from the rest of the pack. Typically, end cards for these rebate apps use a standardized static layout. For rewarded play, you can see we've turned the rebate program into a game itself for users.
To elaborate on the motivation models, we often use these to help put together our metaplay and gamification ideas into an organized framework. So in our 2024 Creative Trends Report, we referenced Quantic Foundry's gamer motivations seen here. These are broken down into 6 categories: action, social, mastery, achievement, immersion, and creativity. And within each category, there are more nuanced appeals. So for example, games with a creativity motivation often feature design expression and customization, along with an element of discovery. So circling back to why these ads work, even when some appear fake, is because we're staying true to those gamer motivations. So although it might look fake on the surface, when they align on this level, we tend to see more success regardless of the apparent relevancy. 80% of SparkLabs creative wins in 2023 targeted gamer motivations that aligned with the motivations of the advertised title. So an example of this aligned success, here is an ad for Match Factory, which is a puzzle game where you organize and match items to clear a pile with a gamer motivation of completion and achievement. In this ad, the Metaplay mechanic is sorting items in the correct order to clear these rows. Both the gameplay and the ad have the same motivations, so although the ad appears fake, it ended up successfully attracting and retaining users who are interested in Match Factory.
So why are these motivational models so valuable? From an advertiser standpoint, you can attract high-quality users that align with the underlying gamer motivations of your game or app. And from a user perspective, giving them a preview of your product by presenting ad creatives that trigger a motivational or emotional response similar to the response your product creates.
So, Jess, what should advertisers be thinking about when they want to start rolling out some of these ads?
One important thing to think about is how to identify and highlight your unique selling points. What makes your gamer app stand out among the rest? So with everyone's creative strategies converging, it's ever more important to highlight your innovation or unique main gameplay or unique brand, especially in saturated genres like Match 3, for example, which have big, well-known competitors already like Candy Crush and Royal Mat.
We recommend you don't incorporate Metaplay right at launch. Take some time to do retention tests with relevant ads first and set expectations for your title before implementing Metaplay to balance CPIs, retention, and user volume. This comes with considerations around retention and balancing your LTV, since there will be a misalignment between your ad and your title's content.
Another best practice that is often overlooked is considering the entire user journey from the ad to the game. So you need to plan out and test whether to align the contents of your UA video, your UA playable, your ASO assets, and even parts of your gameplay, especially in the early phases, like onboarding and mini games. If your Metaplay ads are driving more volume and lowering CPIs, but losing retention, then you might want to try bringing back retention with ASO assets that's more representative of the actual game. On the flip side, if your Metaplay ads are driving volume and lowering CPIs, but you're still not getting enough conversion, well, maybe consider aligning your ASO assets with your ad creatives to further convince the users to install. You can see how Homescapes and Project Makeover went for different strategies here. Both of these games are Match 3 games. Homescapes, we can see that it shows mini games and stories in their video and playable ads. And then if the user clicks and gets directed to the Google Play Store, they put their mini games in their first screenshots, with Match 3 following immediately as the main gameplay mechanic. And then they show more content like stories and renovations after in the later screenshots. And then when you look at Project Makeover, you can see they're showing stories and makeovers in their ads. And then when the user gets redirected, they continue to show a lot of makeovers, renovations, and mini games in their screenshots. But mini games are more towards the end. And Match 3, the main gameplay mechanic, is actually at the very end of the screenshots. So assuming both games have thoroughly tested their assets on ASO, I would guess that Homescapes struggled more on retention from their Metaplay ads, and therefore they decided to put more relevant Match 3 mechanics in the forefront of their store page to filter out the clicks from users that aren't interested in a Match 3 game. In general, when advertisers want to increase relevancy, they would create relevant ads, create relevant ASO assets. If they have already found success with fake ads but want more relevancy and better user quality, they can consider building those fake mechanics into the game. And when you increase relevancy, what you would expect to see is your CPI would go up, retention would also go up, and volume would go down. On the flip side, when advertisers want to decrease relevancy, They could create fake ads or Metaplay ads, and they could create ASO assets that aligns with the Metaplay. But keep in mind that app stores also have their own policies around relevancy of assets that you can upload. When you decrease relevancy, what happens tends to be CPI goes down, retention also goes down, but your volume would go up. So your ads, your ASO assets, your mini games, and your onboarding are all triggers you can pull, different triggers to pull to test different combinations of relevancy and ultimately balancing your CPI and LTV.
And how you can do this is to align your ads on a gamer motivational level to attract high quality users who align with the motivations of your app. A majority of SparkLabs' creative wins in 2023 targeted gamer motivations that aligned with the motivations of the app being advertised. Of all of SparkLabs' creative wins in 2023 that showcase gameplay that didn't match with the advertised app's gameplay, 89% of them shared the same underlying gamer motivations with the app. And if you look back to last year, classic video games were trending. Fast forward to today, where the trend is expanding into classic puzzles that are traditionally popular in the physical format. So where can you look for inspiration on Metaplay mechanics? You can start by looking at your competitors' ads, familiarize yourself with hypercasual mechanics through different apps, source apps, from where these ads are being served, and always refer back to the shared gamer motivations to make sure they align with your brand.
Lastly, it's important to innovate on Metaplay and don't just copy. We want to offer users novelty and catch their attention with mechanics that haven't been seen before in ad creatives. It's important to make your brand stand out, especially if your gamer app is in a saturated genre. And even with fake gameplay, there are different ways and degrees of fake. You need to find the right fit for your title and be thoughtful with your strategy. Don't just mix and match gameplay mechanics. So to summarize our recommendations, identify and highlight your unique selling points. Test relevant ads first before exploring less relevant ads. Balance the relevancy of your ads, ASO, and mini games. And build on gamer and user motivations to innovate on Metaplay and gamification. Don't just copy.
Thank you three so much for walking us through that. I honestly had no idea all of the strategy that goes into behind creating some of these ads, and really appreciated you giving us a glimpse into that. And thank you all so much for joining us today for another edition of Coffee and Creatives. We are so appreciative of you taking the time to listen and learn more about the incredible future of advertising. We hope you'll take away a much better understanding of how to provide a more engaging and rewarding ad experience for your users and take practical steps towards developing ad campaigns that win you new and returning users to grow your scale and your business. And a cheers to our SparkLabs team for another Coffee and Creatives webinar well done. Again, appreciate you guys so much for walking us through this today. And to everybody watching, stay tuned as we will most certainly have more insightful discussions with SparkLabs around the corner. Have a great day.